This morning I read about the Great Banquet. It's a parable that Jesus told while he was at dinner with some Pharisees and other people. And so I wanted to share that with you. So let's start in Luke chapter 14, verse 16. Jesus says, "A man gave a great banquet and invited many guests. At the time for the banquet, he sent his slave to tell those who had been invited, 'Come, because everything is ready now.' But one after another, they all began to make excuses. The first said to him, 'I have bought a field and I must go out and see it. Please excuse me.' Another said, 'I have bought 5 yoke of oxen and I'm going to examine them. Please excuse me.' Another said, 'I just got married and I cannot come.' So the slave came back and reported this to his master. Then the master of the household was furious and said to his slave, 'Go out quickly to the streets and alleys of the city and bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame.' Then the slave said, 'Sir, what you have instructed has been done, and there is still room.' So the master said to his slave, 'Go out to the highways and the country roads and urge people to come in so that my house will be filled. For I tell you, none of those individuals who were invited will taste my banquet.'" So this parable is so strong, and it's so indicative of where we are currently as a society. At first read, I read this and I thought about how Jesus came first for the Jews, and then when the Jews, or some of the Jews, had rejected him, he went out and said, "Bring in all the Gentiles," which I'm very grateful for because I'm not Jewish. And so I also thought, when you look at these people, we've got a guy who bought a field. We've got a guy who was wealthy, bought 5 yokes of oxen. Most people only had one or two. And then we had a guy who, or I'm assuming is a guy who's like, "I just got married and I can't come." They all made excuses. All of these people were invited, and presumably all of these people accepted the initial invitation and knew the date, time, and place that this banquet was supposed to be. And when the slave went out and said, "Hey, the banquet's ready," they all had an excuse, or they all refused for one reason or another. And we do that. We put our careers, our jobs, our need to make money, or like the guy who was wealthy, he was busy spending his wealth, dealing with matters of his wealth, of his property. And then this last joker, he's like, "Well, I just got married. I got better things to do." And sometimes we can be like that. Once we have that one person, it fills that need, or at least that temporary need, and we no longer need God. And so I don't want to be like this. I don't want for my career to become so important, or the wealth that I hoped to one day amass to become so important, or my husband to become so important that when the master sends his slave to say the banquet's ready, I'm too busy. I don't have time to come to the banquet that I said that I was going to go to. But I love how in this parable, God is saying, you know what, go out and invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. These are the people who know they have a need. I want to be more like these people. I want to be more like the people who are like, "God, I'm so broken. I know how much I need you. So when you come calling, I'm going to be there. I'm going to come sit at the seat in your house because I need you." And so I also love this about God. When he ends it, he says, "There's still room. Go out into the countryside, go out into the fields and the highways, because I want my house to be filled." This is the very heart of God. He doesn't want a halfway filled house. He sent his son Jesus to die for us. He already paid the price, and he wants to make sure that he gets every soul possible to be in his house, and that it is filled, and that they can all experience the blessing from the sacrifice that he already made. So I hope that you can for this part of your life want to be that poor person, want to be that crippled, want to be that lame person who knows that you need God, and that you don't get caught up with the worries of this life, so much so that you pass up the greatest banquet that ever is. All right, guys, have a great day.